Thank you very, very much. My name is Aaron Glad, and I'm running to be your next state senator from the 43rd District. It's not often that someone like me gets to be in a place like this. You know, I don't come from a family that has a lot of wealth, and I don't come from a family that has a famous name. My mom was a 15-year-old high school dropout, and she was born into a cycle of poverty that exists in every city, in every county in this state. She would raise me in upstate New York, in a broken house, in a broken home. I would grow up on food stamps and free lunch. And by any measure, kids like me don't really stand a chance. But I was lucky. And I was lucky because I lived in a state like New York. And in New York, we place high premiums on things like a quality public education. We place high premiums on things like health insurance for children. And we place high premiums on things like communities that look out for one another, not just for themselves. And because I had that, and I had these programs like CHIP and TAP and TANF and HEAP, because I had these programs, it didn't raise the bar, but it lifted the floor. So kids like me could stand a chance. And I took it. And I put myself through high school, and I put myself through college, and I put myself through graduate school. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But the important thing is that I never forgot where I came from. And where I came from has been driving who I am. It drives my beliefs, and it drives my value system. And so when I was in grad school, I had an opportunity to work in a fellowship that would place me in the New York State Senate. It would place me with the deputy majority leader in the New York State Senate, who was a Republican. A Republican who I had fundamental disagreements with, who didn't think the way I thought, didn't act the way I acted, didn't believe the things that I believed. But I used it as an opportunity to learn and to listen and to surround myself with people who are different than me. And for 3 years, I did that. And I used it as a learning experience, and I saw some really amazing things. I saw things like when we fought for property taxes and pension reform. I saw things like same-sex marriage being passed. I was on the floor of the Senate for it, a historic night. I saw things like protecting children in hospitals and care and child care. But I also saw things like a governor resigning in sex scandals. And I saw things like politicians being taken away one after another in handcuffs. And while I'm working in the New York State Senate, I couldn't help but wonder, am I making an actual difference in my community? Am I actually doing the most that I can be doing? And I remember sitting on the 4th floor of the Capitol in my nice office, and the news was playing. And they were talking about a different fight. And they were talking about a fight overseas. And I remember the news saying that it had been the deadliest month for coalition forces on the ground since the war began in 2001. And that really makes you think. You know, you're looking at the TV screen, you're seeing your friends in your generation, and they're dying overseas. And you start to question what we're doing in our lives. And so for me, it was easy. The next day, I went down to the recruiting station, and I joined the U.S. Army. And I enlisted. And I was lucky enough to get a chance to go to Fort Benning, Georgia, and become an officer. And eventually, I would be assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division, which is America's first team. And I would be a ground combat platoon leader. And the Army would give me 40 kids from every socioeconomic status in almost every state. And I would take these kids, and I would train them, and we would go to Afghanistan and back. And I'm really, really proud of my service, and I'm proud of my time in the Army, and I'm proud of what we did. But after 4 years of serving, I decided with my wife that we were going to move back home to raise our family. And so we moved back to where she's from, in Rensselaer County. And I used the GI Bill to go to Harvard, and I was lucky enough to get a job in the administration of Governor Cuomo. And I worked my way up to become his Deputy Director of Policy. And so the last 3 years I've been working on things like the fight for broadband access and $100 billion infrastructure program, $100 million in Pave New York and Bridge New York. I've got to work on things like paid family leave. Some really good programs that I'm really proud of I got to work on. But you have to wonder, am I doing enough? And when I look around and I think that we can be doing so much better, that if we just put the right people in the right place, that we can make a bigger difference in our communities. And when I look around, I can't help but wonder and think that we can do better for my neighbor who's telling me that he's going to move out of state because his taxes are so high that when he retires, he can't afford to live here. And I can't help but think that we can be doing better for my friends in Hudson, who are working jobs that they hate because their student loans are hanging around their neck like a cinder block. And I can't help but think that we can do better for my friends in East Greenbush, We're trying to decide which of them is going to quit their job because the cost of childcare is so high, it doesn't make financial sense for them to both have jobs anymore. And I can't help but think that we can do better for our LGBTQ friends in Saratoga who feel like their way of life is under attack by a federal administration hell-bent on turning back the clock. I can't help but think that we can do better for my wife, a school teacher, who comes home at night with tears in her eyes because there are kids who are still growing up just like me, who don't have food in their stomachs so that they can't learn. They don't have shoes or clothes, or they're abused or worse. We can do so much better. And when I look at the world through the eyes of my 3-year-old daughter and my 1-year-old son, I know we can do better. And I know that we can make a difference. And this race matters. And so that's why I'm in this race. I'm in this race because we are one vote away in the New York State Senate from things like the New York State of Health. And we're one vote away from things like equality for women and banning the box. And we're one vote away from protections for children, and we're one vote away from equitable education, and we're one vote away from so many of the programs and the policies that we all care so much about, but that have been stalled, not just on the floor, but in committee that they won't even talk about. We are one vote away. And for the first time in a long time, everybody in this room, this is the seat that's going to turn it. This is the seat. We are the Democrats running in an open seat that determines the direction of the New York State Senate. Let that sink in. All of the programs, all of the policies. And so I'm here today. I appreciate you inviting me. I can't do this alone. I need your help. And so I hope that you'll join me. I hope that you'll give me your help and your hearts and your hands, because I'm going to need them. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.